Right, first things first, we're going to put fresh water in the tank so as we're ready to go and use the machine. So, small button in here. It's going to lift your tank up. That's into the two tanks. Right, so big lid off and fresh water into the tank here and fill it right up. Lid back on, back round to the button that brought the lid up. Same button, other side. You go to keep your finger on that, that's going to put the tank back down. Sit back down and it's ready to go. Okay. So, when we're filling up the tank, you have, which is 220 litres capacity. If you're using chemicals, you have the options to put them in the tank with the water, or if a dosing system, 10 litres. So you get 10 litres of chemicals in there you can use with the dosing system, which is this here. It gives you the option of between 1% and 4%, and you would just flick that switch on as you're using it, and that'll put, as the water's going out, it'll put the chemical through the brushes at the same time. Okay. Right, so if you're hiring this machine, we'll deliver it and it'll all be ready to go, the brushes will be on, but there is a button on here. I'll just show you this. Some of our customers press it with mistake, it knocks the brushes off, so if that occurs, we'll just show you how to put the brushes back on. Just take them out, and what we're going to do is just put them in position around this circular piece. Get them in position, one side, and the same on the other side. Okay. And we'll jump on the machine. Switch on. Just make sure you've got water in the tank or the brushes won't go down. So you just press the brush button, and then you're going to use the pedals and you're going to rock back and forth with it, and the brushes will go into position and they'll lock on. And that's us. Okay, and brushes back up and they'll come up and hopefully they'll be locked on for you. And that's us. Right, so when we're all filled up, chemicals in, ready to go, operation mode, so we'll switch on, you get your two pedals, forward and reverse. Okay, and then we're going to, operation, one green button is going to run your brushes and it's going to run your vacuum all in a one-up, nice and simple. One button on, your water, you can regulate up and down, and then you're ready to go with the one green button. So if I press forward, we're in full operation mode now, and everything's working. And same button again when you're switching off, and the brushes will come straight up and the vacuum will run a little bit longer to let you get all the excess water up as you continue driving. And so if you're wanting to use it individual, you've got the option, just the brushes if you want to do a full scrub, let the chemicals work in before you collect all the water, or you also have the option of a double pressure scrub, which is quite draining on the battery, but it'll put a lot more pressure on the floor if you've got really bad areas to clean. As I say, the running time will go down in the battery. Right, so we're just going to put the squeegee bar on here, plug the hose in, and you've got two options here, you've got two and you've got one, so we'll always use number one. And we'll just tighten the hose up nice and tight. And you're ready to go. It's good to take this off and give it a wee clean, a wee check out, make sure it's not blocked. Right, so once you've done your individual scrub, it's just a case of vacuum button on its own, and you go along and you collect all the excess water. Right, so the rest of the control panel is just nice and simple. So you've got tortoise in here for speed, fast and slow. You've got a big button here for lights at the front. You put headlights on if you're working in low light. Okay, and it also works as a horn. Okay, and the big red button here is a emergency stop. Slam that down, everything shuts down, and then once you're happy and ready to go again, just lift it up and away you go. So you've got 3 lights here. So this green flashing light is everything's okay. So down here we have a foot brake. If I put my foot on that, pull this along, that's the brake locked on, and that will show you the light here. So don't be driving off with this red light on, just make sure, put on the brake and then leave it over again, and that puts the brake off. And this here is a warning sign, so if you're getting a flashing light here, we've got issues, so that's when there's problems. So down here we've got 2 trip switches. So on the right hand side, if the brushes stop turning, possibly you've got an issue. So a quick look underneath, make sure the brushes are turning freely with your hand, and then just flick the switch back up, top's on, bottom's off. Okay, and on the left hand side here, just simple, another wee trip switch. That's just for the drive, so if that pops, just switch it off, give it 5 seconds, pop the button back in, and hopefully you'll be fine to go again. So on here is 100% battery, so we reckon the running time is about between 4 and 6 hours. So you're going to let that battery go down, no dashing and doing opportunistic charging here and there for half an hour. So what we always say is run the battery right down and then charge it right up. So once this gets down and you're low, you're going to take your switch off, get to a charging point, which is just a 13 amp socket, and then we'll just plug it into the wall, and this would generally be an overnight charge because it's 8 to 10 hours. So at the end of shift, just make sure you're switched off, pop it into the wall, switch it on, and that'll switch itself off and be ready for you in the morning when it's time to go again. Light on and now charging. When you come in the morning or whenever you're going to check it for full charge, you'll be looking for a wee green LED in place of that red LED. That'll tell you it's fully charged, then you switch off and you're good to go again. So just at the back end of the machine here now, this is a wee gauge, lets you know how much water is in your tank currently. So vacuum hose through here. This is to drain the fresh water, which you probably won't need to do, but at the end of every fill up you're going to need to go out to a drainage point, and you're going to have to empty all the dirty water wherever, and just uncork that down the drain. And it's always good if you're in a dirty environment to open the lid, give it a wee flush out with a hose if at all possible, stops any blockages. Right, so if you're going along in mid-use and the lights suddenly start flashing and the brushes come up, means you're out of water. And similar, if you're just starting up the machine and you go to press the brushes down, flashing lights just tells you the tank's empty. So we'll go and we'll put water in the tank. So while we're in the recovery tank area, this big filter here is going to catch all the wee bits and pieces that come up through the vacuum hose, so just take that out regularly, keep it nice and clean. And this is your suction filter that you can take off with this. That'll get a wee bit dirty over a period of time. Just take it right out, damp cloth, clean it, make sure it's nice and dry before you put it back in. And the cleaner that is, the better your suction will be. Right, so this is a recovery tank, so as the water raises in this, as you can see, a wee white float switch there, the lever's going to lift with the water level and switch your vacuum off so as you don't overfill. So that wee lever, it just lift up there. So just make sure as you're checking the tank as well, that's nice and clean and there's no debris on it to keep it moving freely. Okay. Right, so if you're using the machine, you've got any issues with the water picking up, might be spreading out at the squeegee bar, not leaving the floor dry. What you can do firstly to check is lift the seat up and we'll lift the tank up and we'll have a wee look. Probably be something nice and simple for you. So we quick check, make sure your filter's nice and dry. Take this filter out. Could be if you're using quite a dirty floor, you could get a blockage in at the elbow bend here. So you can pop a finger in there and you can maybe feel a bit of debris, or worst case scenario, wee screwdriver, undo the Jubilee clip, that will pop right off and you'll probably find that this wee bend in the cuff would be blocked up. So just a case of emptying that. everything back as it was, and you're good to go again. Okay, lid back down and off you go again. So also, if your lid isn't completely on right, you'll lose a bit of suction through here as well, so just make sure you're nice and tight there. We'll also check for blockages around about here, so just make sure your hose is nice and clean there. We'll take the bar off, we do the knurls, just a quick lift off, flip it over, make sure there's no blockages or nothing untoward with the rubber or anything. Okay, make sure the rubber is nice and straight all along, not out of position, and we'll plug it back in, and it's back on into number 1. And take the knurls, make sure they're nice and tight.